¿Qué miras?
The Tekken series just turned 25 years old. Hot damn. This is one of my favorite series of all time, and seeing it turn 25 is absolutely nuts. The series revolutionized 3D fighting games on the same par as Virtua Fighter, except with way more success and notoriety. From its fun gameplay, great characters, rocking soundtracks, and more features to keep you coming back, Tekken is a series that seems to get better with each installment. So for the next series of reviews, I think it's best to review every mainline Tekken game, along with Tekken Tag 1 and 2, and Tekken Advance. So why don't we start where we all began? The year is 1993. Namco, in the midst of developing animating 3D models, the team came up with the idea of a 3D fighter to help test the models. Bringing in Sega developers who worked on Virtua Fighter, the team began working on the game Rave War, which eventually was retitled to Tekken. Directed by Virtua Fighter designer Seiji Ishii, Tekken was intended to be a better looking and smoother version of Virtua Fighter, and was released in the arcades in December of 1994, with the PlayStation version releasing in March of 95 in Japan and November of 95 in the US and Europe. And to say Tekken was a major success would be an understatement, becoming the first PlayStation game to sell 1 million units and would only be the start of an amazing fighting series. Our story begins when our main character Kazuya Mishima was 5 years old. Heihachi Mishima, his father, tossed his son off a cliff to test his strength to see if he was fit to lead the Mishima Zaibatsu, the family business. Kazuya survived but was left with a permanent scar on his chest. This causes something known as the devil gene to activate within Kazuya to raise his power. Kazuya agrees to this power, and years later, Heihachi opens the King of Iron Fist tournament to test Kazuya's strength. Other characters have decided to enter to get the prize money Heihachi is offering for the winner. These include Yoshimitsu, the head of the Manji clan of ninjas who plan to give the money to the poor, Nina Williams, an Irish assassin after Heihachi, Martial Law, an American Jeet Kune Do fighter who will use the money to open a martial arts school, Paul Phoenix, an American who is using the tournament to prove his strength as the toughest in the universe, Jack, a robot who was sent by the Russian military to rid of Kazuya, King, a Mexican orphanage owner who is using the prize money for the orphanage, and Michelle Chang, a Native American fighter who enters the tournament to get revenge on Heihachi after the death of her father. And after selecting your character, you begin a set of 9 stages, take down all opponents in your path, a character-specific sub-boss, and finally Heihachi himself, and you get to watch an ending of if that character wins the tournament. Tekken isn't like typical fighting games. There is no light punch, heavy punch, light kick, medium kick, nothing like that. Instead, each button is bound to a certain limb. Square is your left punch, triangle is your right punch, X is your left kick, and circle is your right kick. Using these in certain directions allows character-specific moves to come out. Tekken is all about juggling, launching opponents in the air and keeping them in there with strings of moves. Tekken is super simple to pick up and play, but difficult to master as it requires a lot of memory and execution. Each character revolves around a certain playstyle or method. For example, King is the grappler, using grabs to do lots of damage, while someone like Law is all about landing quick shots. Every character has a different fighting style, and there's bound to be one you like, and one of my favorite characters in the franchise wouldn't be until later games. In this game, I play King and Kazuya. King because his grapples are seriously so cool to watch, and luchador style wrestling is incredibly enjoyable. And Kazuya just simply because of the sheer power of his electric wind god fist and his hell sweeps. But not to say the other characters are bad at all. Yoshimitsu, while he wouldn't be better until later, is still enjoyable. Nina's speed is always great. Law's speed, as I mentioned, is amazing. Paul and Jack are massive powerhouses, and Michelle's linking of moves is great to pull off. You'll have one to like for sure. Along with that, there are unlockable characters that are essentially palette swaps with moves from other characters. Anna Williams is essentially just a swap of Nina, Armor King is King with some moves of Kazuya's, Ganryu is a slower yet harder hitting Jack, Kuma is Jack with changes to his grabs, Kunimitsu is a swap of Yoshimitsu, and despite later incarnations of them being female, the first game had them as a man. Hashtag Kunimitsu says trans rights. Li Chaolan shares moves with Law and Paul in Tekken 1. Prototype Jack is just a swap of Jack. Wang Jinrei plays similar to Michelle. And lastly, Heihachi is a mix of Kazuya and Paul. As for graphics, while this was absolutely amazing for 1995, I'm not gonna lie when I say this game is certainly dated. Just look at the character select. It's so gross. It's excused though, considering this was an incredibly early PS1 title. And I mean, the endings are absolutely hysterical. The graphics are amazingly bad, and there are so many moments in these that are absolutely meme-worthy. Kazuya's smug face, Law's face throughout most of his, King and his digitized orphans, Michelle's long-ass legs, and Nina looked like an Elder Tor from the depths of hell. The music, on the other hand, is incredibly enjoyable. Both soundtracks are really well done. And when I say both soundtracks, I mean the fact that the arcade and console versions differ, but both have their own merits. If I had to pick my favorites, I go to the arcade versions of Windermere, Venezia, and Chicago. And the console versions of Chess1, King George Island, and Fiji. Seriously, give these both a listen, as there are some great bops on there, but I will say Monument Valley is creepy no matter which version. If I'm going to be honest with you guys though, the soundtrack would be the only reason to go back to Tekken 1, because the game has certainly aged. The controls aren't as refined, the movement is stiff, the insane combos and mechanics haven't been introduced, and there only being an arcade and 2-player mode really lowers the replay value. But thankfully the next time we look at Tekken, Tekken 2 is going to be great to talk about with all the things it included. But that's for next time. Thank you so much for checking out this review. I'm Payday, and take care.